What do you do when you have 3 ingrown toenail surgeries and you still have pain? Well, today we're going to talk about why this client is still having issues after having her 3rd surgery. So stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody. It's Rachel, aka the Nail Therapist, here on YouTube. We're going to talk a lot about why this client still has issues with her nails. This poor client started seeing me after she had had 2 ingrown toenail surgeries, and I have a video that I will link here in just a second of one of her first visits. So she saw the same podiatrist for 2 surgeries. So the first surgery didn't fully work, so she went back for a revision, and it worked better, but there was still this pain deep in the corners of her nail at the base of her nails. And so when she came to see me, I would spend an hour and a half trying to find what it was that was causing her discomfort. And I hope you guys go back and watch those videos because um, an untrained eye or somebody who's just doing like the bare minimum, they're not going to find anything. I had to really pull the skin back deep in the sulcus to figure out what was causing her pain. And it looked like there still was a little bit of piece of nail growing. So after several months, I said to her, listen, you can do this over and over again. You come and see me and spend whatever you're spending for me to dig this out, but it's never going to heal. I'm never going to be able to solve your problem. So I think you should go back, find a different podiatrist, get a second opinion, have them look at it. And so that's what she did. She found a different podiatrist. And I'm so glad she did because they were able to do another revision and it was a lot better. The results have been way better for her. She doesn't have as much pain, but there still is something going on in the corners. Our goal was to get her to a point where she doesn't need to come and see me. She can just go to a regular nail technician because she does travel over an hour to come see me. And I don't blame her, doesn't want to do that forever. So unfortunately, still at this juncture, I'm still having to do quite a bit of work on her big toenails because of what I believe is scar tissue from all of these surgeries. Let me just reiterate, she has to travel over an hour to come and see me because there is nobody in her area that is trained to do this type of work. I cannot express to you, if you are a nail tech, you need to have higher training so that you can help people like this. I beg you. There's not enough of us out there, and there are so many people in need of these specialized type of pedicures. Please take some training to do it. If you're new to my channel, my name is Rachel. I go by the Nail Therapist here on YouTube because I specialize in restoring the health and wellness of the natural nail. I don't do anything artificial. I keep everything as organic and natural and non-toxic as possible. And my goal is to just help you heal. And on this channel, I talk about basically everything that I'm doing, from an educational standpoint with my clients, but I also get into some of the stuff that's going on in my home life, and I ask you guys for assistance and help and try and answer your questions. So if you guys ever have a question about anything that I'm doing in the video or just generally nail related, feel free to put them in the comments and your question might be featured in an upcoming video. So on this big toenail, I've already pushed back whatever loose cuticle I could, and I'm using the Erica's ATA long and lean diamond bit to gently exfoliate the cuticle that's sitting on top of the nail, but also remove some of the dry skin that is built up over time on the side walls. And you can see there's something going on in that corner, both the corners actually. It's not quite cleared off with this individual bit. With this particular client, I have noticed that outside of the areas where she has built up sort of thicker skin right on the nail and in the corners, the skin behind her cuticle is actually very fragile. So it's really important for me on this, in her case, to make sure that I'm not running the e-file bit over top of her skin behind the cuticle, because it can tear it very easily. It's pretty fragile actually. So I'm trying to snip away and remove all this hard stuff that you see me working on right here. But everything behind the cuticle in the proximal nail fold is very, very fragile. So the first part of my pedicure I do dry, and I just sort of remove the bulk of everything. I'm not going to get very specific at this time in clearing her nail or cleaning her nail, because I want her skin to soften in the foot bath now that I've removed some of the hardened, more bulky skin that's been sitting there. So once I get her out of the foot bath, the skin will be a little bit more pliable, and I'll be able to seal it better with all the debris washed away. Okay, so on this nail, in this corner right here, there is a large, area that has what appeared at first to just be cuticle. But the more I was pushing at it, the more it felt like maybe it wasn't. Maybe there was something else going on there. There's no way for me to really know. So some of it is cuticle, and I'm trying to clear that away right now. But it was a little bit uncomfortable for me to push harder into it. And so once we get there a little bit further on, you'll see a little bit better what it was I'm looking at. But I think in that particular corner, there is a large buildup of scar tissue from the 3 surgeries that she's had to have. What I believe to be scar tissue extends from the corner all the way down the side of the nail here. And so I'm running the e-file bit up along one side and through into the corner to see if I can exfoliate it off. And it does come off for the most part, but there's still an area in the corner deep in there that the client is telling me is painful. And so further into the video, you'll see what I'm going to have to do in order to relieve her of that pain. Maybe some of you are wondering why there's still a bit of nail polish on her nail, and that is because it wasn't coming off very easily, and I thought I'll use the e-file over it and see if it'll come off. But it obviously didn't. But don't worry, guys, it will come off later. It's not going to stay there. I'm not going to polish over it, so chill out. All right, so after this point, she's been soaking in the foot bath, and I do apply another drop of the Sachet Callus Care to each of the nails um, to help soften the cuticle area up even more, and so it's easier for me to remove any debris. And I'm using the ingrown toenail rasp here to just gently clean around the nails and under the nail to remove any dead skin or built up cuticle that is remaining. So here I am, just gently pushing the skin back to reveal where the nail is actually growing from and to see exactly where she's feeling her discomfort. So I'm just going to be as gentle as possible because, like I said, I don't want to risk piercing her skin. And the end of this tool is a little bit pointy, so we want to be very careful. But it's great because I could go up underneath the sides of the nail all the way to the back where it's coming out of the root to see just how wide it is. But even in there, there's going to be still some pieces of skin that are stuck underneath the side of the nail that need to come out to relieve her pain, and even more so on this side. So on this side, you'll see me using a couple different tools to loosen the skin on the side of this nail. This is where a lot of her pain is coming from, deep in there, in that corner and along the side. And so you'll see as I push back the skin, the pieces of skin sort of come loose, and those originate underneath the edge of the nail. So my theory is this. My theory was, before she had this last surgery, was that the nail is still curved enough that it's pressing into the skin and the body is producing more skin to protect it from the pressure. But now that she's had the third surgery, there really isn't much of a curvature left on her nail. And she's still producing all this skin. Well, I think what it is actually scar tissue from all of the damage to the nail itself. So there's now going to be this production of scar tissue plus maybe some skin that is going to continually be a source of nuisance and pain for her, which is very unfortunate because she's had to go through so many surgeries. She thought this would be it. But some people just produce more skin. They're just skin producers. And I think that happens to be her case, unfortunately. So as I'm digging here, I did end up seeing one tiny little droplet of blood. And so that's why I'm holding the gauze on her skin right here, just to kind of clean it and avoid it from getting worse. So I'm applying pressure while I'm working on the other side. Sorry, this is a little bit blurry until a minute or two from now. It does clean up. It does clear up in a minute, so stay with me. this corner right where I'm tapping is where she feels the pain. So she wants me to figure it out. And I want to help her within my limits, of course. So I'm just taking the tip of the tool and sort of pushing gently along the skin by the sidewall of the nail to see if anything comes out. And lo and behold, there are little tiny pieces of skin, harder skin, that was living underneath the side of the nail. And that's where she feels a lot of pain. So I'm going to take my tool, my e-file, and exfoliate a little bit more because there was some buildup. And this is going to be a lot more gentle than me snipping or nipping. And we'll see if that made a difference. Part of my process for her especially is to exfoliate as much of the dead callus skin along the sidewall here because that's where she builds up her skin the fastest. So I want her to leave as soft and new skin as possible so that she can go a little bit longer in between pedicures and not have to experience a heavy buildup within 2 weeks or so. So she has much more time in between, and she doesn't have to make that trip. If you all know somebody who has like OCD tendencies, maybe encourage them to go into nail tech work because it really is super satisfying from my point of view to be able to do this kind of work because look, I just found more skin under this sidewall that I thought was not there, and I have to clip more of it away because that's where she feels the pain. So all I'm saying is, look, if you've got OCD issues or you're just really detail oriented, this type of work is where it's at, and people will love you for it. If you're sitting there thinking, okay, Rachel, I think you got it all. The reason I keep going back is because she still says she feels something. So I'm just going over it again and again and again until she feels like the pressure, the pain is gone, or at least to the point where I'm like, I can't do anything else. I'm sorry for you. But look, I just found even more of this skin slash scar tissue. That little piece right there is the root of all her discomfort right there. This side doesn't cause her as much problem, so I'm not having to dig as much on this side. There's just a little bit on that right side and then a little bit on the corner here. So you can see all the work that you have to put in sometimes in order to uncover exactly what is bringing the client discomfort. So I hope you learned something in this video. Stay tuned for the before and afters. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, as always. And if you enjoyed this content, I would love for you to subscribe and click that bell for notifications for my next video. Until then, have a wonderful day and God bless you.